Hey, beautiful souls, and welcome to Around the Kitchen Table, a space for honest conversations, stories from the heart, and gentle reminders that we're all walking each other home. I'm Laura Island, mother, creative, soul-led CEO of Sacred Sister CIC, and the woman behind Wise Sacred Woman. I'm a witch with ADHD, and this podcast is where we gather to share the real, raw, and radiant parts of life. Each week, we'll explore what it means to live in rhythm with ourselves, with nature, and with one another. We'll talk about womanhood, sisterhood, creativity, leadership, spirituality, and the messy magic of being a human. So pour yourself a cuppa, get comfy, and let's meet here around the kitchen table, where stories are medicine and every voice belongs. Yesterday I was sat on the land with the women who are helping me weave this year's gathering. And there was a moment where everything just softened. So today, sisters, I want to share with you some magic. Welcome to Around the Kitchen Table. If you've not met me before, my name is Laura, I'm the founder of Sacred Sister, where we support women to know who they are. If you are watching this on YouTube, hello, welcome. This face that looks very red is because the sun has just decided to warm up very quickly, and I wasn't quite ready for it when we met on the land. That coupled with the fact that I chose my self-care moment this morning to have a really hot bath. So I'm still kind of beetroot coloured. For those of you listening to this elsewhere that can't see me, I'm very beetroot coloured. I'm also just laughing because I wouldn't call myself high maintenance. But then I laughed this morning. I was like, okay, so I'm not really high maintenance, but I've had a bath and, I had Epsom salts in my bath to look after myself because we're in the middle of a project. I'll tell you about that in a minute. So my muscles really needed to soak. And I've realized that I've switched to my summer time schedule. So I'm up at 5:55 every morning, whether I like it or not. That's when my body says, okay, it's time. And that makes me super productive in the mornings, which I love. And I'm currently sitting in my lounge because the sun is in this room in the mornings and it's glorious. But I'm like, actually, I've got too many clothes on. It's really hot in here. So then I was thinking, okay. So by the time I've put my eye drops in, because my eyes are really sore because of all the decorating, I've put my ear drops in because one of the things that people don't talk to you about in menopause is the ear issues that I've had for the last 8 years. Um, then I come currently because of the decorating and the dust and all my allergies, I'm having to use a nasal spray. So I was like, okay, eardrops, eye drops, nasal spray. And then I'm drinking my morning cacao, which is cacao and collagen, because actually that's really, really been something that's been life-changing for my joints at this 50 plus tender age. So I was laughing. I was like, I wouldn't call myself high maintenance, but then you start to consider all of those things before I've even kind of got up and started my day. It's only like 9 o'clock now, and I would call that quite high maintenance. Anyway, so like I said, I was sat on the land. In fact, it wasn't yesterday. My brain has lost track of days this week. It was Earth Day. So on Wednesday, I decided to gather the women that are creating our summer gathering this year. And so I'm blown away. I'm blown away, but I'm blown away because I got out of my own way, and I'm going to share more about that with you. I also feel like I need to kind of give a little apology. Not really an apology. I didn't show up last week on a podcast. I've done every week for a really long time. I didn't show up last week because good time to tell you, we are in the middle of, I'm going to sneeze. I hate that feeling. Do you hate that feeling? We are in the middle of transforming an old pub into a sacred space. And that sacred space is called the Cavendish Bazaar because it used to be called the Cavendish. That's back to its old days as a hotel and public house. It had a bar called the Cavendish. Bizarre, because that's what it's been for the last little while. Not bizarre as in crazy, bizarre. Bizarre as in place of lots of activity. Think of a Moroccan marketplace. And when we moved here to Weston-super-Mare, into kind of, an old sleepy seaside town in the UK, if you speak to a lot of the locals, they're like, "Why are you coming here? It's really sad. It's really boring. There's nothing to do." But I guess I saw it in different eyes. I used to think, "Oh, I can't. I don't want to." And when I was with the kids on my own, I was like, "Oh, we should go to Weston for the day." And I was like, "Why? Why would we go to Weston for the day? Like half the time the sea's so far out. It's like got the furthest out tide of anywhere in the UK, I think. Did I hear that somewhere? So like literally the sea goes out to you almost can't see it, and it's just that's why often it's called Western Super Mud because it just looks like mud as far as that I can see. But I now know living here that the tide does come in and it comes all the way in, and in high tide it's right up to the seawall and it's really beautiful. Lots of people still swim in it, even though it's brown and muddy looking. And there's a real community here. There's a real feel for what's growing. And what we realised is there's a missing part, and that is a place for people in the town centre, for people to come and to hang out, and for us to share kind of the way that we show up in the world, where, to create the village, to create the place where people come and they have that kind of hub and they have that place where they don't have to rush, where, they can come even if they sit on the sofa and have an afternoon nap. I don't care. It's like, just come. And that's where we'll be able to hold some of our physical kind of events, regular events. So women's gatherings, men's gatherings, book clubs, mothers kind of meetings, breastfeeding meetings, clothes swaps, all sorts. We are open to all sorts. So if you hear this and you're local and you want to do something, come and speak to me. But that's why I didn't shop last week because I am literally knee deep in painting. I think so far we've used about 50 litres of paint probably. It's been a lot. So and we're almost there. Almost there. Plan is to be open for next Friday on the 1st of May at Beltane. Anyway, so just wanted to share that with you because that's really beautiful and fabulous and amazing. And I realise I've already spoken at you for 4 minutes. So let's talk about what really happened when I met on the land with these women. We weren't rushing, we weren't performing, we were just there talking and sharing and laughing. And we had a beautiful ceremony around the fire. This is the first time we'd all been together. And some of our team still weren't able to be there, but we kind of called their names into the sacred fire and we kind of like literally kind of held this beautiful space where we got to anchor the magic of the layout of the land. And somewhere in that, something really landed in me. And it landed not only in me, but in the women when we sat and had lunch together. And that was the village gossip. And not in the way that we've been taught to think about it, but in a way that felt really ancient and familiar, almost like a remembering. Do you remember back in my nan's day, like they'd have stood and chatted over the garden wall, right? We'd have called it gossip, but they were just chatting. They were always there to kind of help each other and support each other. If my nan went shopping, she'd always check in if the neighbour wanted any milk. Oh, that got me a little bit emotional then. Love my grandma. Miss my grandma. Um, and that's what they did. And there was this sense as we were chatting about it of how things used to be before all of this, right? Before the noise, before the scrolling, before we outsourced all of our connection to screens, there was just women talking to women. And that's how everything moved. News, stories, support, invitations. There was no marketing plan. There was no strategy. There was no algorithm trying to decide who sees what. There was just, hey, have you heard about this? Come with me to this. You need to meet her. That was it. That was the village. And it goes deeper than that, right? To the place of like, sharing recipes, sharing medicines, sharing herbs, sharing seeds, how they grew, how they connected. my granddad grew dahlias in his garden and he would just give them away to the neighbours because they were so beautiful that he didn't want them just to die in the garden. Do you know what I mean? So he would cut them and he'd have this whole garden of cut flowers, daffodils and dahlias and things that he could just cut and roses. And my nan always had fresh flowers in the house that came from the garden, but they always shared them around. My nan was the cleaner at the local clinic, which was just over the road, where the doctor came 3 times a week to hold clinic in the community rather than us going to the doctor. The doctor came to the community. I remember all of that. I can still remember the smell of going into the doctor's office with the leather bound desk and leather chair and emptying the bins and all that kind of stuff. I just remember it. I also remember them trying to jab me when I was 5, I guess, for my school vaccinations and me legging it. No, no flipping way were they getting me. I ran and I ran around and around and around. I still don't think to this day that I had it. I don't recall because I think my mum just gave up. I was like, no, we're not doing it. Anyway, I digress as always. So if we were to kind of, think about the village, right? In that village, there was always a woman who knew what was happening. I can remember Auntie Joyce. Auntie Joyce was my nan's best friend. She lived over at number one, and my nan. So if you imagine, you can't see me if you're not on YouTube, but there was a road here and a road there. It's like a T, and number one was over here of this particular road. And my nan used to live there years ago. It's where my mum was born. But my nan, they're all council houses. My nan moved over to this house over this side, and Auntie Joyce moved into that house. She was my auntie. I called her auntie. I had loads of aunties. Did you have loads of aunties growing up? Like if I go, I've got friends in Barbados. If I go out to Barbados, everybody's an auntie. I'm an auntie to everybody out there. We don't have it anymore. We've lost that connection. So yeah, Auntie Joyce was definitely the gossip. She knew everything. But that's not because she was bad. It's because she was in. She had her finger on the pulse. People would, and she stopped and she chatted and she connected. There was always a woman who knew what was happening. Not because she was nosy, not because she was stirring anything, but because she was connected. She was the messenger, the weaver, the bridge between people. She was the one who made sure that no one was left out. She mattered. She was part of how the village functioned. So when did that become something bad? When did gossip become something we whisper about? When did women talking become something to shut down? When did sharing become something to judge? Because somewhere along the way, women became too much, right? Too loud, too chatty, too emotional, too involved in each other's lives. And we were made to be silenced if it was labeled. That was the easiest way to silence it, right? Was to label it. So it was labeled gossipy, and gossip was then bad, you know? And look, let's be real, right? There is a shadow side to this. When we're disconnected, when we're hurting, when we're bored, usually, yes, words can become weapons. Yes, gossip can become harmful. Yes, it can divide instead of connect. But that's not the root of it. That's what happens when something sacred gets distorted. I can remember many of you will know, or you might not know, I lived and worked in Saudi Arabia when I was 25 till 27. I was in Saudi Arabia when 9/11 happened. And you can, I'm just laughing because the time now, right now, as I'm saying that is 9/11. So when 9/11 happened, so at that stage, most of the expats left and went home, and I was working in a spa there. So lots of women. I mean, I've worked in the spa industry since I was 16, so I've been around seriously gossipy women. Let me just tell you. And for any of you that are watching Maths Australia right now, Married at First Sight Australia, like talk about gossipy women. It's just horrendous. But it's because they're in competition with each other. They're in competition. They're not in competition for the man. They've got their man, but they're still in this kind of enclosed, weird experiment where it's just mean and nasty. That's where gossip goes bad. That's where people talking behind each other's backs is bad. But I digress. Saudi Arabia. So all the expats went home. So we went from like, a team of 30 women, busy all the time, to like a handful of clients every day, which just meant that we weren't busy. And there were like 15 Filipinos that worked with us. And I loved those women. I loved them with all my heart. Like they were amazing. But boy, when they got bored, were they mean? Like they were mean. And it wasn't for any other reason. They'd gone from these glorious, amazing women that were deep in sisterhood together to just bitching with each other. And it's because there was nothing going on. And so their words became really mean. And that's what happens. So what if, what if we stopped trying to shut it down and instead we reclaimed it? What if the voice that shares isn't the problem, but actually the solution? What if instead of talking about each other, we started talking to each other again? I'm going to say that again. What if instead of talking about each other, we started talking to each other again? What if we became the women who say, I found something beautiful, come with me. I met someone and you need to meet them too. You need to know them. What if we said, you don't have to do this on your own? I'm right here with you. And I don't want to fix you or rescue you or advise you or project you. We call it frapping. I just want to be here and be right here and listen to you. What if that was the case? Because this is what I see happening when we gather as women, not just at our bigger events, but even our smaller moments too, like in circles, in conversations, in kitchens, on walks. When I watch the women that are in our community connect with each other, it blows my mind. It's on such a different level because when women remember how to speak to each other again, not perfectly, not polished, but honestly, and something shifts when that happens, you can feel it in the body. That sense of I'm not alone. And that's so important. Just watching these women in the field together was like another level. Because there was no competition, no hierarchy, no one saying, I'm doing that, this is my right. It was like, how do we co-create something magical together? And sitting there with these women on the land, talking about the gathering, I realized like we've never just organized an event. We're not a pop-up festival that comes once a year and just shows up. For 5 years now, 6 years now, we've been growing this community. And there are many ways to get involved, but the key thing for me is that we're here. We're always here. I shared with the women, in those 6 years, it's been hard. Don't get me wrong, I don't have a salary from this. This isn't making me lots of money, even though lots of people seem to think that it is somehow. I don't know why. But everything I do comes out of my pocket originally, my husband's usually, with his belief that these spaces are needed for women. And that's what makes it hard actually to show up because we're not just organising an event. We're remembering something, we're rebuilding something, and it doesn't come from big marketing pushes. It comes from women saying to other women, come with me. That first event that we did in lockdown, we weren't quite in lockdown and we were just coming out of lockdown, but we were at that time where people were saying, you can't gather, you have to be in bubbles, da, da, da. If this offends you, I'm probably not the person for you, to be honest. But I'm okay with that, just so you know. But I just knew that it was like, had to happen. These women had been kind of, like all of us on lockdown, we were, taken away from their normal environments, normal situations, having to be at home with their kids and their husbands, like locked into these situations that just weren't normal. And I just knew it was like, okay, what if I just invite these women to a field? and see what happens. We can stay in our bubbles, we can stay in our, but we're going to be out in the open together, connecting. I don't want to organize an event. I don't want to, and that year, because it was still questionable. And to the outside world, we look like a festival, right? Like it's really hard. We do. And we're so far removed from that. And I'm a festival like event organizer. That's what I've been doing for years. So, you get the good bits of the festival. I look after you. We have good toilets, good showers, good food, like all of that stuff is done. But you don't come to our field just to be entertained. It's not about consumerism. There's not loads of market stalls for you to buy loads of stuff from. Yes, on a Sunday morning, we have our market morning where everybody gets to bring their stuff out and share. We have a massive clothes swap, we have a massive book swap, all that kind of stuff. But it's not about consumerism. We don't have loads of food stalls. We have the beautiful Mella who cooks with her team for us and looks after us. And you get to go and help in the kitchen, peel a carrot, do whatever it is that makes you feel at home. You get to be on the land. Like, if you came and did nothing else other than sit on the land for those days, I swear, like, you would leave a different woman. And so, when we did that first event, there was no Facebook event, there was no website, there was no marketing. There was a PayPal link to my PayPal and women telling other women about it. And we had 144 women in the field. God, I'm emotional today. Because when I think back to that, it was so precious because of that. And yet, year after year after year, since then, I've had to dive into this freaking unsocial media place. And I love it. Don't get me wrong. I love social media. I love the fact that the things that I put out on social media impact women. I hear and have private messages every single day. I shared on the Cavendish Bazaar social media about us the other day, and a woman literally kind of shared how she listens. She's already listens to our podcast regularly. That blows my mind. And yet, I'm not some influencer with 100,000 followers. I don't look the part. I don't, I'm not sitting here with my makeup on all day, super skinny with, pristine hair and makeup. Like I outgrew that when I came out of the spa world because I didn't need to anymore. I could just be me with my dreadlocks and my mum belly, you know? And I don't even know where this was going, but bear with me because I'm sure there's magic in here somewhere. What I recognize is that we need each other. And I have ended up having to push and promote the gathering like it's some big event that, you know, you pay a ticket and you get into it's so hard. And I remember sitting actually at another women's festival that does get a good following, gets their numbers of around 500 a year. And I remember sitting there the second year of that event. And there's a lot that's lush about that event, but there's a lot in the background that's not quite as I would create it. And I remember sitting there talking to another sister who was like, "You're right." I was like, "Yeah, I just find it hard. I find it hard to watch what's going on here and wonder why they have such influence in getting people to their event." And it's because they bring in big names, they spend a lot on artists, they have people that come and they sell their tickets on the back of that. Now, those artists I know because I work with these events, they don't come to be a part of the village, they come to perform and they leave. Oh, what a little emotional moment being I am today. They come and they leave. And they rock up and they're very much like, don't you know who I am? I'm going to park over there. I'm going to do this. It's like, I don't care who you are. I really don't. Like I can, I don't, because you're a woman like me, don't talk to me like that. Do you know what I mean? Just because you want to park where you want to park. Like, actually, let's have that respect. And that doesn't happen in our field. I can tell you now, we have some multi-award winning women that come to our field. You wouldn't know it because I don't sit there and sell tickets off the back of them. I don't pay anyone to be there and to perform. Every woman comes because something in their heart says, I want to be a part of this village. Now, I'm going to caveat that with one exception this year because my gorgeous friend Tallulah, I'll tag her music into this somewhere because her music for me is medicine. It always has been. And sadly, she's got a lot of other stuff on the weekend of Sacred Sister, but she's like, I can come Sunday night. I'm like, great, come Sunday night and hold our integration space. So Sunday we finish on Sunday at 4 o'clock with our closing ceremony, but we don't actually, people don't have to leave till Monday lunchtime. Okay, maybe I'll just tell you quickly about that. So when you arrive in the field, what happens? You can arrive Thursday, the 30th of July. We actually hold our opening ceremony on the Friday. Now that seems crazy because women are already there, they're already doing things, there's already workshops they can go to if they want to. We've all eaten together. But some women won't be able to arrive till the Friday. That's okay. We all still pay the same, by the way. It's 333. Like that's what we pay. And that's all of your food, all of the workshops, all of the spa. If you do an all-inclusive kind of ticket, you can break it down as well if you want to. But that's the ticket. And it's 5 days if you choose to come for 5 days. If you choose to come for 3 days, it's still the same price. That's what it costs. There are no early birds. There are no random like get it now kind of like none of that. There's none of that. You come. And if you can't afford to come, then you can volunteer. You can reach out to me and say, actually, this isn't possible for me this year. I never, ever leave anyone behind. That's why I've usually got a balloon bill at the end that I have to pay for because I'll never leave any woman behind that needs to be in our space. There will always be a way. We will always find a way. But you arrive, and we don't hold our opening ceremony until around about mid-afternoon on Friday. That hopefully means that everybody that's coming for the weekend will be there and will be connected in together. So we don't leave anyone behind. We hold our opening ceremony together and we close it on Sunday at 4 o'clock. And that's because some people will need to leave Sunday evening. We ask everyone to stay till closing because it allows me to make sure everyone's kind of grounded and connected back to the earth before they leave. But you don't have to leave until the Monday. And so Sunday night is this beautiful integration. And usually it's me and a group of beautiful sisters, and we hold this big sound bath. But Tallulah's come in to hold an amazing evening of sound and song. So if you are considering it, stay Sunday night because it's going to be amazing. So there are some caveats of people that are coming for shorter periods of time, but that's only because they can't make it for the whole time. And, they're not the performer, they're not swooping in to perform and leave. Like, she's very much a part of our community. Anyway, so so we do create the village. And I want to invite you to to be part of that village now. To get your ticket, you can pay your £50 deposit and just secure your place. Like it's on the website. You don't have to pay for it all now. You can also pay in Klarna, split the payments in three. Like there's loads of things that you can do. Just say yes. But as women, we don't. We overthink it. We get in our heads. Yes, it's school holidays, so I'll have to find someone to have the kids. Hopefully, because it's school holidays, you can find someone to have the kids because you don't have to do school run. Oh, here's the thing. How many men will you have to ask to babysit their own children? Like, honestly, that's the thing for me. Wow, this has gone all over the place today. If you got this far, well done. But this is it. Maybe this week you don't scroll. Maybe you don't overthink it. Maybe you don't wait until you feel ready to have the perfect words. Maybe you just reach out, message someone, invite someone, share something good. And in doing that, you become the voice that connects. You become the bridge. You become the village gossip. I'm happy to be the village gossip because actually my voice is important and it's valid and it needs to be in the world, and so does yours. Maybe that's exactly what the world needs right now. I used to share with people, I worked for a very well-known skincare brand for a long time, a brand that was free of all nasties and nasty chemicals, and back in the day, it was quite a unique thing. Now it's much easier, much more accessible. People understand why parabens are so bad. Don't even get me on that journey. I'm looking at the time thinking this is going to be a long call if I get on that journey. Parabens are bad. Don't buy things with parabens. Definitely don't put them on your armpits. Do you know what I mean? Don't put that deodorant on your armpits because it's going to block everything. And, full of carcinogens. Carcinogens cause cancer. Women have more breast cancer rising. Like the figures are just horrendous. So, but when you go for breast cancer treatment, they tell you not to use any products with parabens in. Why? Because they know. So why don't you tell people how bad they are before they get to that stage? Anyway, I used to sit teaching these classes and I'd be saying to people, you won't go and tell your neighbor that. Like you've just heard me share a bit of information with you. Did you know that? Did you know how bad parabens were in deodorants? Probably not. I used to think that I'd got to the stage where, because my world was quite small, everybody knew because I'd banged on about it for years. So I stopped banging on about it because I used to think, well, everybody knows already. No, no, we don't. The world is huge. Most people don't know half the things that you know. And your wisdom is so beautiful and so needed in the world. Your voice is so needed in the world. But if you hear that, right, and you know that it's bad, you think you'd want to tell everybody, right? We don't. But if you went to the cinema and watched a really good movie, oh, by the way, we watched The Magic Faraway Tree yesterday. It was gorgeous. Um, you tell people it's easy to have that kind of gossip. So why is it so hard to say, hey, do you know what I've heard about this thing? Even if you can't make it, I've heard about this thing. Reckon you should find and check it out. You can go on the website, sacred-sister.co.uk, find it under events, or put / the gathering, I think it is, but I don't know. Um, But the world needs you. The world needs you to have a voice. You need to have a voice. Your voice is so valued and so important in the world. And if we are going to change it, oh, let me just stop with this one. Oh, I will close at this one. There's a video that's done the rounds for quite some time. In fact, there's various videos. Oh my God, I can feel there's so much bubbling up in me right now. Most of it's around utter, the spiritual world, how much we bypass this, like, oh, just bleh, don't even get me started. I'm just going to not go there today. But I've got a lot bubbling in me right now, let's just say. A lot of kind of, a lot of, it's not rage. I think it's disappointment, where we've all had the wool pulled over our eyes for so many years about, performance spirituality. Spirituality isn't a performance, it's a devotion. And it's a devotion to yourself, first and foremost. And yeah, it's great. You might go to a retreat and a workshop and you might learn something, but how do you bring that home? How do you embody it? That's why all of the work we do, even when you come to the gathering, all of our work is around awareness, healing, and embodiment. Always, everything we do, awareness, healing, and embodiment. That is the reality of everything. Every ceremony I create, everything, even the funerals I create. Now that's going to sound bonkers, but they have an awareness. There's an awareness of why we're here. There's an awareness of what death and dying means to us. There's a healing because we've come together and we're in this space together. And there's an embodiment of this actually happened. This is real. How does it feel in your system? How do you grow from this place on? Because that person is no longer with you. Don't know why I shared that, but maybe someone needed to hear it. Everything I do is based on those three things. I'm writing a book based on those three things. That is my principle, I guess, of the world. Um, Lost it. Lost it. Obviously, it doesn't matter. What I want you to do is just feel what it is to connect. We were talking about voices, how powerful and important your voices are. I don't know. Just use them. 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, I decided that I wasn't going to message anyone that week. If I needed to message them or speak to them, I would pick up the phone and physically call them. And it was lush. I had so many amazing conversations. It was really lush. And we've just forgotten. because that's what they want. Oh, that's what they want. That's where I was going. Performance spirituality. And that's what they want. So I think his name's Will Ferrell. Maybe it's not. I don't know. But there was this. It's kind of been doing the rounds for a while, and it's basically him standing on stage going, men have ruled the world for 10,000 years, and we fucked it up, and we want women to take over the world. Women need to take over the world, and I keep seeing it. And on one hand, I'm like, yeah, you're right, we do, but we need to find our voices first because we can't take over the world silently. Secondly, it pisses me off. It pisses me off. Do you know why it pisses me off? Because that's such a lack of fucking responsibility. Oh, excuse my French. There's such a lack of responsibility. It's men going, yeah, we messed it all up, and now it's on you. You can fix it. No, you messed it up. Now take responsibility. Now stand up. Stand up to the other men. Stand up to the men that are doing the oh my God, the 62 million thing this week, just motherless. Like, if you haven't heard my rant about that, it's on social media. Anyway, I guess what I'm saying is get yourself to the gathering. If this has landed with you, you're always welcome to come sit with us, whether that's in circle, whether it's in the sanctuary or on the land this summer, whether it's through a comment that you make on our socials, whether it's showing up and being here, whether it's sharing this out into the world. How do we support each other? We share. We gossip. One of the women said, I'm not just the gossip, I'm the nag. I was like, yeah, be that. Be that. Because you don't have to do this alone, sister. It's fundamentally why Sacred Sister was created. And there is so much beauty growing in Sacred Sister right now. Even just in the way, here she goes again, just going to get emotional, that I sat with 12 women in the field this week. Normally I would do it by myself. And the reason that I do it by myself, we co-create it when we get to the land. But I've always been that person who's pretty much run everything myself from the top because I didn't have other women in my circle that I could fully trust. And now I do. Not only do I have women in my circle that I can fully trust, I know that I've done the work on myself to trust them and know that if it doesn't work out, I can handle that. I can work with these women. I can connect with them. We have a sacred agreement. We have a space for rupture and repair. We know how to communicate with each other. We know how to connect with each other. That's the bigger power of when we really reclaim our voices. We can't remain silenced. And we also can't do it all and let men get away with it because they're right. They have messed it up. But it's not for us to just come and fix it. It's for us to find a way to work together. Anyway, I'm going to leave you with that for now. I hope to be here next week. It's Beltane, after all. Probably, I have a Beltane little course that I created inside the sanctuary last year, and maybe I'll just put it out as a little freebie for you. So make sure you check in on our socials, and I'll figure a way to make that happen. All right, my loves. Take care. Look after yourselves. Put sun cream on, and I'll see you soon. Wish me well for the next week that we are getting ready to open the Cavendish Bazaar. I'll see you soon. Laura out.